Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We're good to go. We're good to go. We are live. We are live.
Well, make sure everybody get their face masks on. It's okay to take my face mask on when you got the
Hey,
COVID.
hey, you can take the face mask off, man. I show supposed to have mine on too, man.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, man. Ain't nobody on here finna pass that disease, man.
Hey, look, I got the Germex, I got the wipes, I got the Lysol. I'm on deck, man. I'm on deck. I'm on deck.
All right, here I am, man. That joke start getting hot.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it. I love it.
How you doing?
On deck and ready. On deck and ready. As everybody gets to piling in, first of all, we appreciate y'all for tuning in the first round of the Mayoral mini-series, a candid conversation with the candidates. We just want to remind you guys, this discussion is powered by State Farm agent Aaron Kilgore, located at 3805 North Sterling Avenue in Sterling Plaza. State Farm has new lower rates for auto, renters, and home insurance, and he's also passionate about life insurance as well. You can call and give a quote from him at 309-685-7111. Good people over there. I've spent some money over there myself, and I encourage you to do the same. Now, this is our first episode of the Mayoral mini-series. This time we have none other than mayoral candidate from the last time and bidding his hat for this time as well, Couri Thomas. Couri, was good.
What's up, brother?
What's happening? What's happening? Appreciate you coming through to kind of articulate your platform and talk to the people. And also, don't forget, if you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments. We're going to get to the questions of everybody, as many as we can later on in the broadcast. So please, if you got any questions, throw them down at the bottom and we'll get to them. Now, I want to remind everybody as well, too, that this is not for November. This is February. It's a local election, municipal election in February for that primary. But we wanted to get a jump on everything. And since we are talking about elections, we do have breaking news as of the last hour. I want to start off with Couri. Kamala Harris has been chosen as VP for Joe Biden to run in his presidential campaign. Initial thoughts and reactions on that?
I think that's excellent. I mean, she's a very strong woman, a really good picture of what to strive for when it comes to being a Black woman. They have a lot of ranges. Anybody can be essential. Anybody can be very, very successful. She's proven that. She's a very strong debater. I just found out myself about that news, and I'm happy about it. She'll be the first African-American woman that is nominated for a vice president position in a major party, the Democratic Party. So it's just a really good pick for him, and I think that balances out Biden and some of his rough edges.
Certainly. So shifting focus to Peoria, as best you can, how serious is this election coming up for Peoria, the mayoral election this time around?
This one is huge. It's something I've been waiting on for almost 4 years now. A lot of planning, a lot of character building. God has done a real hard, deep search in me to get prepared for this, pointing things out constantly, the direction our city is going. It can be much better. Now, I like to say this phrase, I'm not here to take the water out of the glass. I'm trying to put more water in that glass so that it will overflow. What we have right now is a strong warehouse district investment going on in Peoria, but it's not a diverse investment. So what I'm here to do is to make sure we the citizens of this city, start focusing on and open our minds up on other avenues and networking opportunities that will help provide the income that families need and the stability and the leaderships. And I just see it so clearly. I want to try not to go too far into my detailed plans on it, given I'm the first candidate, but I won't go in there. It's just so many things that we need to highlight and highlight our citizens. I'm all about those who are in need. And I do that every day, working at the food bank. I done trained 100 plus young men and women on their soft skills, social skills, and any skills that are able to get a job. And they have succeeded and stayed here in Peoria. and that's another story. Uh, Peoria just has a tremendous amount of growth. We lost our confidence somewhere. We lost our stability. We put all our eggs in one basket, so to speak. Like the last campaign, we got to the point where Caterpillar had just left, and now in this campaign, we're working with a pandemic, and we just need leadership that's strong, stronger, direct, focus, and experience. When this pandemic happened for the food bank, we got federal regulations, and we had to make decisions to troubleshoot the very next day. And most essential workers that didn't feel they were essential before this pandemic now realize how important they are to our lives. And there are some venues that are good for our entertainment and health and things like that. But when it comes down to our survival and eating every day and being able to manage each other, network with each other in our everyday natural life, going out to eat, going out to clubs or a bar or a sports game, a venue, that hurts us in our entertainment life. But what helps us is how this has given us respect for one another again. And I enjoy the positive side of things. I don't always dwell on negative, but the positive of it is our kids are spending more time with their families. They're missing school. We are focusing on those essential workers and how important these jobs are. And I want people to start taking more pride in how they contribute to our city's economy and their lives. I want our young people to be balling in their terms, ball out of control. And that's my plan, is to make sure they see how much they can contribute.
One of the things that you just mentioned, that you indeed are the first candidate to go for the Mayoral series, the mini series, but you're the most recent or the latest candidate to throw their hat in the ring as a potential candidate for mayor. When did you decide to officially run for mayor? When did that thought come to your mind, like, yes, I'm going to do it?
The last campaign, what was that, 2017, when it ended? I'll say 2 months after that election, that April, it was March, it was August or September, where I was really going through a post-traumatic stress issue. I'm not a limelight person. I'm not a camera-friendly person. I'm more of a radio face, not a camera face type person. That just lost my train of thought playing too much.
Just when you initially
yeah.
run for mayor.
It was shortly after. I knew that I serve about 8 counties to 3 counties here in the state of Illinois, and there are so many people that are encouraging me that can't vote, that I want to represent. And it is about Peoria, but it's about Central Illinois. It's about the Midwest and our state. Peoria can be strong, has to be strong in order for this state to be strong. We have number 1, Chicago, and Peoria should be right up in that ranking of revenue that comes in for our state, and do a lot better. But I've known and been encouraged all this time.
Well, the first time you ran for mayor, was a hard-fought race. Essentially made history, losing to an incumbent of 12 years, only by a little less than 1,100 votes. But now you're back from where, as you admitted. Why?
Because I number one, I believe it's a calling. I told this story many a times. Before that election, I just prayed before the NAACP gala that I wanted something new to happen to my life. God bless me, basically, and this was presented. I've always had a passion. I mean, I got a high school sweetheart that will probably tell you today that I've always had a passion for Peoria's growth. Always. And I'm 42 years old. This is when I was 16, 17, and 18. It was only until that gala and this was presented to me where I figured that was my calling. I love politics. I'm watching it right now. I'm up on this news. And going through that last election, it took a lot of energy and a lot of effort. Got in it pretty late in the game, but I just felt comfortable. I feel at home in this role. And mayor may not have been the best choice to start with, but it was my choice. It was what was presented to me. And I must say, I don't want to say it that way, but I was a candidate that represented the number 1 place in America economically for African Americans. And if that's not enough to inspire somebody to jump up and say, yep, that's what separates me, is the calling. Sometimes people just say calling, but they don't pay attention to that calling.
Why do you think you were
I'm
able to
just
get so
loving now.
close
I'm just
last
loving.
time?
I can't wait. Huh?
Why do you think you were able to get so close last time?
It's a mix of things. You know, we had a very diverse following, meaning support. Our support in the community was very diverse, and it's a mix of that. It's a mix of the strength that built. I was building the momentum as the campaign was going. So I started off rusty. This is my first interview in a long time on camera, and it's going to get better. I'll get more relaxed as it goes on. But when you have a heart for people and you have a character that draws people to you, and I think that plays a huge role, that you have to be a universal person that everyone can relate to, and you are able to relate and listen to everyone else. You know what I mean? And come up with a common goal. That's a gift, and you have to have a leadership gift in order to bring a community together, for one, but an organization, any facet of facility or whatever, how to facilitate things. That and I believe a lot of people were really upset that artists had been in our mayor, current mayor, has been in the office for so long, and they just simply felt it was time for him to go. Obviously, you know, he won another term, and so it was a combination of all that stuff. We could have been very prepared. Our team then was very, very small. There was no one person or one group. We had two or three people at the most advising and starting up a new movement on their own. So it's beneficial for everyone. But I think it was it's just the timing thing, the timing and bad news like this pandemic, when the economy, and it's a mix of when the citizens heard that this is the number one worst place. And I think that opened up a lot of eyes here in Peoria. And then just being an African American man that does serve the community to this day, made a big impact. So it's just a combination of a few things.
You mentioned your team, and the contrast between this campaign and the previous campaign. The most obvious difference is now you're running against somebody that was in your original mayoral camp. Talk about the difference in dynamics that brings to this campaign this time around.
None. It doesn't change my mind about anything. It's something. It's respectful. It's respectful for anyone to put their name in a hat if you're legally able to do so. I can't advise anybody not to. In a sense, it's one of those situations where I feel people should just rally up and let's finish what we started, in a sense. But I'm not concerned. I know people have gifts. I don't know if certain people have the gifts of being mature enough to lead the city, though.
So what do you think qualifies you to be mayor?
This is what I do. This is what I do every day. I network this community. I use the resources that I have every single day to help somebody in need, to see the things that I see and the depression and stress that people have. Just imagine being hungry, being someone that's not providing, can't, or whatever the issue is, providing and putting food on the table on a consistent basis. Little children, I see that every day. But you also have to have those qualities, but you have to have a history of leadership, meaning you're not looking for opportunities to be seen doing things. You want to be the one that's always doing something and doesn't need any recognition for it. Or, I can't put a number on how many things we do at work at Food Bank. How to adjust pandemics, how to troubleshoot issues at a drop of a dime, and knowing what I can do, what I do, and be willing to do it publicly is something I'm really serious about this time. Given that this is a pretty good chance that we can take this mayoral election, I know what I can do and I know what I will do, and it's really relentless. So,
well, what type of experiences in leadership can you point to that would be applicable to actually running an entire city? I mean, essentially, you'd be taking the reins at just as bad a time that Obama took over America back in '08 with deficits, economic uncertainty. Now you got race relations, a pandemic. The experiences that you've had at the food bank, how do you surmise that would translate into being able to effectively lead an entire city of 100,000 plus?
well, that's. I guess I don't put too much detail into my job, but when you work in counties and you work with different people in a diverse group, I know more Republicans in some of these counties than Democrats. I've heard for the last 8 years or since the last election with President Obama, I've heard the negativity, I've heard the positivity, but you have to, and being exposed in that situation and being around people with gratitude because of the service that you provide and being able to relate and give light and open up the minds of people when they have a different point of view, that's a unique quality. It's not picking one side or the other side. It's being able to find that fine line, and then being in the leadership role that I'm in, you have to be able to navigate and put issues aside, our differences aside, and still serve. And if you always want to be in front, you'll never know how to lead because you don't know how to serve first. And without an agenda that's selfish, you have to be selfless to be a leader in this city. And I do want to point out, we serve over 300,000, 400,000 people per month. So when I look at numbers, I'm a numbers guy. When you tell me a number, I remember numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have to navigate how to get and be fair on what we provide as a service, you just learn unique qualities. And you being a people person and understand both sides of the aisle and being able to be focused down the middle and be fair down the middle, come up with innovative ideas and creative ideas in order to get everybody on the same page to see how our economy should work and how much better, how much powerful we are when we stand together as in time of needs of pandemics. So,
are there any leadership roles that you've taken at the food bank that would immediately translate into being mayor of Peoria?
Immediately, just what I kind of expressed then, being relatable, having
like legitimate leadership roles where you were responsible for a team of people. Again, you mentioned that you guys serve 200,000 to 300,000 people on a weekly basis. Is there anything within that organization that you've actually been able to lead from the front that you can demonstrate that type of leadership that would immediately translate into running the city of Peoria?
Let's see. We may use donations when hurricanes hit.
No, I don't.
What I'm saying is that we serve 100 pantries,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to be able to navigate. I am the supervisor of getting all this stuff going and making sure we're on time.
So you're the supervisor of the pantry?
Of the bank, food bank. So the pantries are outside. It's 100 of them that we serve, and they serve their community throughout this state. But to be able to organize the network, everything I just said, being able to organize the deliveries, the pickups, the inventory, the people. I have a stronger staff now than I ever had. Like I said, I get young people that come in and they have no skills and they leave with skills and they leave getting a job. You know, every single day, like this pandemic, we have to implement new regulations, not just for us at the food bank, but also as it trickles down to our pantries and it trickles down from them to the person that they serve, the families they serve, and then they get awareness of what the next steps are. And because we're one of the first organizations in the city of Peoria, probably sooner than the city. I mean, as soon as the president made the announcement that we're going to shut down, and then it went to the governor, we were probably one of the first organizations in Peoria, maybe quicker than City Hall, that has to implement these changes.
And now, did you lead those changes?
Absolutely. I don't take credit for no one person. Yeah, no one person is. I don't like to have a decision made with any one person.
Well, I mean, being mayor, you are the decision maker, essentially. I mean,
I could decide.
Leading from the front is essentially the position you're kind of applying for. Is
Right.
this something that you've had experience that you can kind of demonstrate that reflect what type of mayor you would be leading into the future? Have you had to balance the budget at the food kitchen, at the food bank?
Absolutely. I'm part of the budget now. You'll see a big unveiling of another project that I'm doing now, that we'll be doing now.
So you balance the budgets.
I'm a part of the budget. I'm not balancing the budget. Our accounting balances the budget. We have a food bank manager, Wayne. He creates the budget, and we go over it. We go from line to line, and we make adjustments from line to line. We work with
so the director is balancing the budgets, and you are a part of those conversations and discussions, but you do not make those decisions.
Absolutely, it's all made. Our decisions are made from two different points of views. There are vehicle maintenance, vehicle purchases, warehouse supplies, product supplies, gas. It's just a whole bunch of things that is concerned specifically on my operation of the food bank.
And those last decisions are made by you.
When it's finalized, my input is put on the final up until it's finalized.
And who finalizes those? Do you finalize those?
Our president does. Anything that gets done is done by a CFO or the CEO.
So what type of projects can you point to that for people that would be concerned, like, okay, Couri's running for mayor. Has he demonstrated leadership? How can we trust that at the end of the day, he's going to lead us, not from the back, as you mentioned, but from the front, that we can all pile up behind him as he takes Peoria to the next level?
It'll be simple. They'll see it through this campaign, for one. My team on this campaign is I won't say.
But you mentioned experience is going to be important.
You said what?
But you mentioned experience is actually important. So what experience can you point to in addition to the plans that you would like to lead with?
Number one, I can do it myself. Everything I'm putting on this table as a leader is putting myself out in the front. It don't have to be a camera there, but I will be there. I've had meetings since I announced with people in positions, and I told them my position and what I plan to bring to the table. To do it live on public in this first interview, I'm not giving that type of information out to you right now. But I promise you, it's hands down common sense political leadership that's not being used. And I guarantee it, if you see me at work every day, if you work with me, then you will have no question, not one question about my performance or leadership or responsibilities at the food bank.
But the people lining up to vote for you or not vote for you won't, unfortunately, have the opportunity to see you demonstrate those qualities on the job. How will you energize the base to vote for you with the experience that you're telling people to wait and see for?
Say that again. How am I going to get there? Vote.
So when we speak about experience and demonstrating leadership and being able to lead, because as you mentioned, you can do it yourself, but you're working with a horseshoe at City Hall that also has to get behind you if you want to get some of the things that you want to get done. Right. People aren't going to be able to see the stuff at work. People aren't going to be able to, point to different things that you did at work that says you are a leader that can demonstrate qualities that could take Peoria to the next level. So how do you get the people that are essentially watching now to say, you know what, Couri's shown this, he's done this, he has experience in this. We think he can actually lead the entire city out of this pandemic, out of this deficit, out of this racial tension situation that we're currently in?
Number one, people don't see me in front of the tube, the television. But when you see me in public, you just don't know it's me. You don't see me with a Couri Thomas t-shirt on everywhere I go for the last 4 years. Like 9 years I've been working for the food bank.
Are there any projects or anything like that you can point to that might not have gotten television attention that you can say, I've done this?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't see when an elderly couple has been kicked out of their assisted living home and they are sitting on the corner with all their clothes, and it's late in the evening. They have nowhere to go. You wouldn't see me make a phone call, go pick up my resources like a truck, get the guys, get this place, all this stuff moved to a storage unit and making sure they're secure for the rest of the night. You wouldn't see when you find somebody's debit card and you return it, and then you find out that they had more than $2,000 or $3,000 for a move for their family to another state because of the issues of not enjoying Peoria like I stated in the last campaign. I don't care about it. I'm only mentioning that now because you're asking. what leaders should do. This is what I do. This is what I do every day. And that's nothing. When some children are sleeping on the floor and I have beds, I give them beds. When there's the undocumented immigrant that comes to me and can't speak, and all they can say is, I'm hungry. And then I tell them, go ahead, walk around the corner. And then I take them home with supplies that they can live off. And you see that house is boarded up. There's no lights and candles everywhere. It's a cooler full of ice that they got to put this food in just to keep it on. And they just looking to transition. That's what I do every single day. And if you need to, hear me say no, I'll say no. When it's time to go to work, I'm ruthless. I'm relentless at it. And the things I'm going to do in this city, the community is going to see it 100%. I don't need the horseshoe to do what I'm going to do, what I can do. What I need the horseshoe to do is implement. And matter of fact, I don't really think there's a lot that I will really require, because I'm here to empower our community, the citizens. Listen to my words of my announcement speech. I mean that from the heart. I finished that morning, at 3 or 4 o'clock that morning. I'm always revising. I'm always thinking ahead and planning ahead. What I'm prepared to do right now, today, right now, that's in my announcement. Right now is the time. I'm tired of doing this. I need more resources so I can do more and empower our people. That's what it's about.
You mentioned you do it yourself and that you don't need the horseshoe, but you do need the horseshoe to push policy that you think will enhance Peoria. And I mean, with all due respect, returning debit cards and customer service doesn't really relate to policy. Or can you draw that line for the people watching?
You have to have a moral compass, Marcus. What you're talking about is a detailed, a different side of the politics.
I think that's what people want to hear, though, is the policy.
Yeah, no, but it's the policies
of how policy can actually change the city. How can Couri Thomas's policies or idea for policy enhance the city and lead it to the next step to get us out of this hole?
If you paid attention to what I just said about the announcement speech towards the end, I said we're going to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, and that doesn't take policy. That takes investment. That takes time. That takes a leader to step up and bring people to the table and put an ideal on the table and make that investment of a group of people. I haven't said anything about policies. Policies are going to be made and set and written and revised. Everybody will have an input and tell us an agreeable policy that we all can agree and say yes. There should hardly be any no's in a horseshoe of leadership in this community in City Hall when we make policies, because we represent different districts, and you're going to have different points of view. When you come to the table, you had to put agendas on the table for strict policies to follow, and that are going to represent everybody. That's what we're having a problem with. We have a problem with division of what this people want because they're voters and what these people don't get because they don't think their votes matter. That's not the whole point, but we can use our resources in the community. I can, with this so-called title of mayor behind your name, I can ask these pastors to come together. I can ask these housewives. It's just too much. I can't tell you.
That you can, because you've networked and things like this. So you do have people that you can call on to help pull together resources and things like that. But one thing you did mention, that it doesn't take policy. If it doesn't take policy, then why run for mayor?
I don't know how rich you are. I don't know what your service is. I don't know what you do. And I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying this in general.
I'm just saying, if it's not a policy situation, then we don't need to really articulate the different policy perspectives and our standings with the policies in which we're going to get things done on an official level. Obviously, there's things that you can do without policy, without the title of mayor or even district council person or whatever. If there's so many different things that can be done through or to circumvent the city hall, why even run for mayor? Why not just get what you want done and the vision that you have for Peoria down on the level where you can get it done without having to vie for votes?
Well, what I'm talking to these young people is what I'm trying to do to empower their lives, your audience, how to empower their lives. That's what I'm thinking this interview is about. But policies, we get to that. We'll get to that. But let's say defunding the police. If you think that's a policy, I mean, that's something that should be written, a new norm of policy of defunding the police. That's not something I think is smart. But when you fund an aspect of a police, non-lethal or peace officers or the metro school system, there's plenty of policies that will be addressed. I'm thinking this interview is not about the policy. It's about people, and I'm putting my focus on people.
Well, campaigning is what you're going to do for the people through policy.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure the police is funded. I'm gonna make sure there's a certain aspect of the police department that don't harass our young men because they don't need it. You know what I'm saying? There's policies, liquor licenses, and who to appoint to direct this and direct that. Of course, it's fine. It's about a presence of a leader in so many ways. And then somebody, when you think outside the box and you're natural at that, when you get to that table where the policies are being talked and discussed and being written, then you put new ideas. You bring something to the table. That's why I need to run. I'm not here trying to. Yeah.
So you mentioned like so what you're saying is you're about the people. You're about building people up and getting them empowered and things like that. When it comes to policy and actual structural changes that you want to implement, we'll get to those later on.
Exactly, because there's so many issues that can change. Now, if we were talking about this pandemic and how I would have led that issue, it's the same way I do it at the food bank. You know, I wasn't a big face mask. I know I opened this up as a little joke, but I wasn't a big face mask person. But you still have to watch how things evolve, like this pandemic. But being a person that's a part of an organization, I'd never tell anyone what to do. I tell everybody that I'll ask people what to do. I ask them to do something for me and show the compassion towards people. You know, you have to have a different mind frame. If the people and the betterment and empowering people strengthening our lives, wealth, health, and education, mentally and spiritual life. When you have that in the forefront of your mind, it doesn't matter who you have to talk to. I talk to the CEO as mayor right now. If I was mayor right now, I have an idea for the CEO for Caterpillar. I say that strongly and boldly. If somebody's come up missing in our city, what I will do without the horse, this is what I'm saying why I want to be mayor. Because without the horse, I can make a phone call of different clues and leads for that family and person.
I mean, you mentioned Caterpillar. So do you think you could have prevented Caterpillar from leaving?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. How so?
Yeah.
Because like back then, we need to create a better downtown. You know, if you kind of see the geography of how the city from the airport to Caterpillar headquarters downtown, I believe if we focus on making that path and beautifying our neighborhoods, making that path look good to get people that fly in from to Peoria. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. That pathway from the airport to downtown headquarters, if you see a robust city, a city that doesn't have dilapidated buildings and houses and trees growing, you know, if we put more attention in the look of Peoria, the attraction of Peoria, and takes some of that economic resource back from, let's say, East Peoria, you know what I mean? We have to make those decisions. What happened? What happened with those decisions?
So how? I mean, that's something that still needs to be done, obviously, as far as the look of Peoria. So, I mean, how would you beautify Peoria? How would you make it look better?
You know, I know it's things that you want to see in Peoria. I know you experience a lot in life, different venues, restaurants, businesses, opportunity to further your career here in Peoria, education. I want Bradley students to see attractions here and stay here because we are that attractive city. We are leading in sciences. We're leading in art. We're leading in business and empowering people. You talking about policies and regulations. I would try to influence the horseshoe to cut regulations when it comes to businesses and small business owners.
So you do need the horseshoe.
Well, and like I said, in policies, and but only thing I can do is ask and suggest that we do certain things, everybody has to agree, or it has to be, 6 to 5, something, it has to be a vote. That is something I'm saying is okay. But when we make decisions and bring ideas to the table, we have to have somebody like me that's open-minded and inclusive, that see fractions of training opportunities, how we're going to fix this city. I think we will save fractions of the millions of dollars of our budget in this city, getting the job done, as well as teaching people how to fish and fend for themselves, as well making sure as everyone is safe throughout this whole city, and we enjoy our police, as well as being the type of person as mayor to talk to the police chief and gather the force together and say, hey man, we have to use more professional approaches when we approach a domestic situation. And that's where the officer and the policies of peace officers come in, and working with other leaders of the city. It is a dire need for us to come together as a community. What we're doing now is we're bringing attention to something very important in Peoria, and I won't go to elaborate into that too much. But we don't have a leader that stands for true safety, but true justice, and building on community and public service relations is going to be used. And you can't fight every battle. You can't stand against every battle. You can't just pop up every time an issue arises. If you're not there doing something every single day, other than just talking and photo ops, that's different. I'm a worker. I get this. I'm going to get things done. Like I said in this announcement speech, it will be my promise to make sure I do what I'm telling you now. And it's also going to be my leadership that demands relentlessly that anybody that is elected in the city position is going to hold up their end too. If it's a murder in somebody's neighborhood and it's in District 5, who that a large person, myself, and that district person better be there on the scene until we get sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick. That was get ready. All that stuff was 10, 20 years ago. I'm still getting sick and tired. I'm not sick and tired people.
You mentioned being on the scene, and I think, and real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We appreciate you tuning into the Mayoral mini-series, a Candid conversation with Couri Thomas. You mentioned being on the scene, and I think one thing that a lot of people would question about your candidacy is you ran for mayor, had a good run, you lost, but you haven't been visible for the last couple of years. You've essentially been absent from the public eye. Do you think that's going to impact your run since you have not essentially been on the scene?
Essentially, I'm on the scene every single day. I work with an essential company, but when people, we need to be mature about this election. Social media is a good platform, but you won't. It's a one-sided, one coin platform. I'm not a big.
At the same time, people haven't seen you speak publicly though. Like people,
I mean, you see me speak every day. It
might have been a shock to some that you even threw your head in to be mayor of Peoria, given that you weren't visible in a number of years.
If I'm there and I'm not the first one up on stage, that's a different thing. But you will see me in the crowd. You see me walking past. Usually I'm always in that facility, maybe on a different, there for a different reason. But if that's at the Peoria Library, Lincoln Branch, I'm there. I was there quite often. But you're talking about
the ground level in the city, making stuff happen or seeing that things happen, making your voice heard. Because if you didn't make your voice heard the last
Marcus, what you're going into, Marcus, what you're going into is trying to make it seem like the preparation is not there. I don't care about social media like that. I'm not looking to get notarized for anything. If I'm seeing the march, I'm there. I'm looking and watching the march, but I have to work. Some people got a schedule they don't have to keep. So I have to keep a schedule. It's very important to me.
So the busyness of your job kind of precluded you from being out in the community the last 4 years.
And that's another thing I would change. If you want community involvement, you can't hold rallies at 11 o'clock unless you're not working.
The time is just off.
The times are off, but the evenings and things like that, you have to really understand what I deal with emotionally, spiritually, physically, all that work doing this job. This job is a very draining job. And I'm not trying to be seen.
You run for mayor now with the same job.
How would I run for mayor?
I mean, how do you run for mayor now? I mean, if in 4 years it's not time to get out, because we all work for sure. I definitely understand that. But if there's not time to get out in the last 4 years to be active in the community, how do you put together a campaign?
What you're doing is exactly what is lopsided about doing interviews, because you're telling me that I'm not doing something I do it every day, but you want a camera. You're saying that as if people don't see me every day doing something. Mm-hmm. It's out where I work at. That whole parking lot is a pillar in this community. It is a very good resource for everyone that is hurting. Energy assistance, rental assistance, medical assistance, food assistance, everything. We tackle everything: training opportunities, education opportunities. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. If you see anything about, let's say, the food bank on TV, I'm there. I run from the camera, and everybody knows that. If you see a post, look on if you like social media, get on the Facebook page, like Pure Area Food Bank. If you want to see me and scroll through my Facebook page, you'll see how many times I've shared or added to my timeline what other people are doing. I mean, that's the way I give back. Everybody, I'm not an activist. I'm not somebody that seeks that. You know what I mean? I hear it, I process it, and I apply it the very next day. And when the conversation comes up, I show where there's balance. There's a way that we can fix things when we put our minds together. That's how I think. But what you're asking me is something I didn't say is my gift. I'm not saying that doing television interviews, I don't like cameras. You don't see me posting pictures of myself hanging out or helping these older people, I'm telling you, or a homeless man and giving him some money or giving him a lunch, going to buy him food. You don't see that, and I'm not looking for it. I couldn't have a selfie. I got a selfie little camera I was just recording, trying to do stuff. I just got it, but I could have got one. I could walk around like this all day.
Right.
And when I'm surrounded by Hispanics and Caucasians and Black folk, and they surrounded every day on a normal basis. So, Marcus, this is a platform we can use to build our community and not try to make it seem like I have to be seen. If you do, you saw me. It's the community that's hurt. District 1, the 61605 area code. I am planted firmly in that community. When they drive up the street and they see this commotion, I wish they would make comments about that type of stuff. And they just don't know it's me walking over there in them basketball shorts and black socks. You know, they don't know it's me over there sweating. They don't know it's me directing the staff and putting my input on what's best for the food bank and how we can better serve through the trade mitigation issues. Now we're dealing with this pandemic. Right. You have to have a strong mind to deal with so much stress with the emotional side. And this side, obviously, working at the food bank and getting into the race last time so late, I still worked every day. It was so late in November. I had to campaign through the winter I had to work through the winter and I had to campaign through the winter. To come up short, the rest of the community should, you know what, that brother. But now my mind has a lot of time to focus. That time I hadn't focused. It was presented to me within 2 weeks of putting my name on the ballot. It's not something I expected. Now I do. My team expected. I have a powerful, strong, faith-filled, knowledgeable, focused group of people, and they're coming in day by the day. We're on a different page now. I have plenty of time to throw your hat in the ring. And I also want to say this. I'm also not one of them persons that will, and I think it's deceptive when kind of what this conversation is about, what you're saying, having to be seen, and then knowing that I should have been, hoping I should have been seen over the last 4 years, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of deceptive when you have a hidden agenda on one hand. You know, like I said earlier, people were saying, why didn't you just go for a council seat and then run for mayor? Well, That's my focus. That's my expectation. And that's where I bring to the table off top. But I'm not going to deceive you by doing that to work myself way up the pole and try to prove myself, being the light, running to every rally and being active on. That's deceptive. That's making people believe that you really care when you have a hidden agenda. And it's hopeless.
And you're saying you just want to get in there, do the work, not necessarily prove yourself for such things, but just still become
I'm not proving myself through the media, through making posts and selfies and giving out bad information. I want to do less talking after the election and do this movement of what we begin this conversation on. It is about us doing it. I don't want the government. If we always want to say defund this or less government and policies and more freedom and liberty and progression, well, the only way we can do that is having someone at the helm that knows we have to pool our resources, that know how to do great things out of little. And I hate keep going back to my job, but when you have small resources, little resources, and you're able to make an impact on the 3 cons or 300,000 people's lives with what we have and what we do, and I know everybody there is struggling because our staffing is kind of shaky now, and you have to have somebody that can still see through this darkness, not somebody that's looking through a tunnel trying to be seen and set themselves up for their own self-gain. And I'm talking about possible candidates or all the ones on the table now. The same questions you're asking me, what would their motivation be? Was it because I got so close? Look at both sides of the coin and balance it out. Because I don't know if they would have ran. They didn't run the last time, but they might have not ran this time if a African-American man wouldn't have done it, or African-American or any minority. I'm here for that purpose. That's what makes me different and unique, is that they're not talking like this. They want the selfie. They want to say I'm up front and I'm doing this and I don't care. That does not change people's lives. That educates people. It gives them some sort of awareness. But if you as a person trying to be a leader in this city have some problems and you don't see you're not focused, you have a different agenda, how in the heck can you lead this city? Why would you do it? Why didn't you do it before? If that was your passion and love, you're just not called to do it. But if we came together and start accepting some of the roles and appreciating one another and come together as a community, it's going to be a bad look. It's a bad look on us already for us to have more candidates now than last time or the last few elections here in Peoria. We have a very good looking horseshoe right now, but guess what we're going to do? Guess what we're doing? Guess what we're doing to the horseshoe that we have been creating over this last few years? There's not one African-American man on our horseshoe right now. Not one. I don't think it's probably hard not one in leadership in City Hall at this minute. I'm not sure.
Quick word for the sponsors, and we're actually going to get to some Facebook questions. I appreciate you guys tuning in with the Mayoral mini series, Candid Conversations with, with Couri Thomas. This discussion is powered by State Farm agent Aaron Kilgore, located at 3805 North Sterling Avenue in Sterling Plaza. State Farm has new lower rates for auto, renter, and home insurance. He's also passionate about life insurance. You can give him a call for a quote at 309-685-7111. Moving on to the comments, we have a variety of people. We're going to try to get to as many as we can.
They rolling in, eh?
They are definitely rolling in. What's your this comes from E.B. White. What's your plan on fixing the food deserts on the South Side? I'm tired of seeing $40 at the gas station because there are no spending $40 at the gas station because there are no grocery stores down here. What are you going to do with grocery stores on the South Side?
That's a beautiful question. That's something we struggle with, trying to make sure people eat on the South Side in Peoria County on a regular basis. What we need to do, and this is something I don't want to really put out, but it's no secret. What we need to do is come together again as a community, have our own investors investing into our own grocery store so we can set our own prices. And we take more pride and prestige in our community. and not, that will also lead into other opportunities for this community to make livable wages by other avenues that could stem off of, excuse me, that could stem off of us owning our own grocery store in different sides of the city. Number one, we'll be able to set our own wages. Two, we're creating jobs, and since their wages are livable, and that's another thing. Who says $12 or $15 is livable? Let's get to the. Let's think out this box. Let's get out that. Like I said, let's pour more water in this glass. Let's raise our value. Let's expect more. There are jobs that I'm just so ready to create that we can do that's going to make real wages livable for the structure of a family, for a man to be able to bring home and with pride the amount of funds that he should to pay his bills and feed his family. But when we do it ourselves, there is no policy, there is no other structure that is of the norm when it comes to Kroger, so to speak. When we do it ourselves, investors may take a little bit less in returns, but we're able to give more because we own our own community gardens or community convenience stores or community grocery stores, and they need to pop up all over the place. And we have to start looking at ourselves when we walk in that door. We need to see ourselves sometime, meaning we need to support and be a part of our own communities as business owners that supply and fix these needs.
This question comes from Carrie. Which members of the Horseshoe do you currently support, and which ones currently support you in your campaign?
Say that again. I'm sorry. The first half.
That's fine. Carrie says, which members of the Horseshoe do you currently support, and which ones currently support your campaign?
I like all I'm going to say at this point on that is I like the way our Horseshoe look. Like I said, we don't have an African American man on there. We do have 2 African American women in the Horseshoe. I'm saying the leadership as the administration side of leadership. I'm not sure where African American men or women is in those positions. So I'm not going to answer that right now. Right now, I'm not asked. I haven't talked to anybody in the city council to support me or not. It's not about that. It's not about them. It's about us, the citizens, the taxpayers, the residents of this city. It's about us. Like I said, this platform that I'm running is about empowering individual people, making our lives better together, so we can appreciate one another more. So I haven't talked to anyone. I'm not asking for anybody's support. I'm asking for your support.
Speaking about support, this is an interesting question coming from Ryan. He asked, "What would you be willing to get behind the platform of another candidate in order to best pursue our collective interests?"
Absolutely. If I see things, if that's the way you guys are deciding, it'll have to be a really mature person and somebody that's thinking outside the box. And if I don't feel that person is on the level that I'm on, I'll be more disappointed than that. But if that's what you guys decide, of course I would. I have no problem with that.
What do you think is the biggest issue in Peoria right now?
I think the biggest issue in Peoria is the food deserts is one huge issue. Opportunities to grow a business and the right style of business. One thing I'll just simple it down and leave this question as is. The pandemic also represents a new lane of business ideas and ventures that we should be pursuing now. That's going to lead us into get us back to the old way of our lifestyles are. So we are missing business opportunities when it comes to producing and inventing and designing. We have a large amount of opportunities and ideas. It's just flowing in my mind that also I will bring to the table. So I'll leave it at that. It's so many areas that we need to focus on, and a person has to really be strong and mentally strong enough to put these ideas on the table and multitask all these issues and see the way that a leader should see to how to intertwine that and use our resources in order to fix all these power problems at the same time. You have to design leadership's objectives to people that address issues, and you have to be consistent, so consistent on following through with each person, each individual assigned to these issues, and don't let the slack. I am not a slack person. I'm not a person that wakes up and says, "Oh, my back is hurting," or "No, I have a cold today. You don't see me. I'm working through it. I'm pushing through all that relentlessly." I want to keep reminding that you have to have a relentless mentality and relationship with people, that you want answers and results more than you want talking and screenshots.
Well, in fact, now that you bring up answers, I'm going through the comments, and to be frank, man, and you can go back and look through some of the comments for the questions. I know a lot of the things you have a ton of ideas in your head, a ton of thoughts that you want to see happen in Peoria, but a lot of the questions coming in Facebook right now really go back to wanting to know exactly what you want to put on the table and what you want to see happen specifically. Anything specific that you would care to share as far as the way you would reimagine Peoria?
When you grew up in Peoria on the south side, I grew up on Western and Butler, and you see how
Butler, hey, shout out Butler, man, shout out Butler, but go ahead.
Millman, Butler, Cattell, and Ann Street,
yeah,
Griswold, everywhere.
Yeah.
If you have seen how that side of South End looked back then, and you were here, you wouldn't know that it was a grocery store called Lowell's, a pharmacy like Lincoln Pharmacy. You wouldn't know that Payless Shoe Store was down there, and that's where everybody got their shoes from.
Right by Burger King.
You know what I mean? You wouldn't know that there was a robust business down there called Butternut when you was eating Hostess cakes and apple pies and all that stuff. People were working. You wouldn't know there was a Walgreens down there, and the Aldi's ready to come down there, and the Kroger's coming down there, and it's bussing, and everybody's walking. Everybody's running to the store, playing outside.
Yeah.
If you don't know that, you don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
I know where we're going.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to have that Wall Street that we should have, that balances out our economy in this nation.
And that's where it's at right now.
Wall Street.
And that's where they're at right now. Perfect. Because I remember that vision too. I was young, but I remember that vision too. Mm-hmm. The question is, how?
How? We had to seize these opportunities. Number one, a lot of businesses on the South End don't have brick and mortar, but they still need the opportunity to network. So when we build a network with those that have a talent and a skill and a trade and don't have a brick and mortar, a leader sees the brick and mortar, but they also see them, and me, I have worked with them. That's why I bring it up to my attention on a regular basis. So when they have more opportunities with the city, and if there's a policy on that, definitely I'm bringing this to the table.
What would that policy be? That's where we're at. What would that policy be?
And I don't know if it's a policy, Mark, but at the same time, if we have to open up markets through the city and give these people and the residents in Pacific parts of the community bigger chances and bigger opportunities and city contract opportunities, number one, we get a better payroll. We get a better bang for our buck. We have taxes set up to the point where, it might be some people out here, and I don't mean to put anybody's business out there, but it may be some people out here that not paying taxes on their business and how they make money. It's kind of like a hustle to people. But when you give it, if you organize it to the point, if we organize it in the city to the point where they get contracts and we do set them up with financial literacy, and we do have them start contributing to the funds of Peoria and legally do it, we will see more revenue come in there. We can also, in turn, as a city, give them opportunities to repave this or go put some blacktop down there or fix this concrete. We can give that opportunity to them to put money in their pockets instead of always going outside the city, so to speak. So it's a conservative view, a part of me that has to have a conservative view as a leader that see that not on a national level, more on a state and local level, extremely in a municipal level, is that we have to fix our own. We have to hire our own We have to have the same people that's doing the job. See, it's people out here doing what I'm talking about that I want to network with when I get in that office. And I'm not trying to be arrogant by any means, but I don't have to say I want to go rebuild this house when it's another person I know is rebuilding the house.
Are there any names that you want to share that? Are there any names that come to mind that you would want to be instrumental in your campaign or instrumental in helping rebuild the city if you are elected mayor?
It's plenty. Mr. Gray. I mean, it's Mr. Lindsay. I don't want to name too many other people, but Tony. I don't know if it's okay to put their names out here, so I'm just saying just one name and not the full name.
So dig this, man. The thing about Peoria, man, since you last ran, 2 times we've been on the list, top 5 for the worst city for blacks to live in America. And then just 2-3 weeks ago, we were number 3 for the fastest shrinking mid-sized city in America. Mm-hmm. You walk through the mall, it's trash. I mean, the mall looks closed while it's open. Evergreen Square looks like a bomb went off. It looks terrible. All you got is Kroger's and PetSmart. So if you don't need food, you ain't got a dog, ain't no reason to go.
Right.
What do you want to do to economically bring Peoria back to life and really enhance the economic piece of Peoria and the reason why people kind of don't want to be here? Because I'm a perfect example. I went to school to SIU, then I went to grad school for public affairs, covered state capitol, covered politics in the state capitol for a little bit, and came back. I was at Target and I ran into the father of one of my guys, and he was like, "Man, congratulations, you're doing good. You graduated from grad school. You got your master's at age 23. You're doing terrific. But if you want to be successful, you got to get the hell out." Mm-hmm. How do you change that?
Bringing bigger ideas, and like I said, I only focus on things I know I can do. Now I can make calls to bring businesses here. I know I can walk the streets, every empty building I can imagine or give a foundation of what that could look like or a business that could be. And I could try to bring that here myself.
Do you think businesses need to come to Peoria, or do you think it's a matter of developing the small businesses we already have?
You know, the greatest, in a perfect world, it's us creating our own businesses and run them. We'll come up with our own Dave and Buster's. So just for an example, if we want Dave and Buster's downtown Peoria, which I do, that's something that's not a secret. Well, it don't have to be called Dave and Buster's. It can have that type of foundation, and we can own it. We have to have that big investments, big ideas. So if you graduate in college in engineering, especially when it comes to technology, we have to have a big plan to put on the table and a vision for it. You know, something that people can see and say, yeah, I do want our city to have a water park. So then we're going to need all of those students that play a part in building that water park, which is another plan. And I'm starting to get into some of the ideas. But what I'm trying to
bring the ideas, man, bring them.
Yeah,
bring them.
I'm trying to tell you,
Peoria needs them.
Hey, so there's a big downtown city transit that I said I would get Caterpillar to look at, and I just know it's a feasible idea. But those type of ideas I'm talking about, which I would not say that one, but we'll call engineers. We can call on them as mayor. I can call on these students and say, this is the project we're looking to. Where are the investors? You know, come on in. We need this big project. We need Peoria to be a center of the city of the state and the nation. The Madison Theater and the theaters and the arts and sciences. Everything is heightened in my mind. Everything is meant to be an attraction and cause Peoria to be an attraction. There is no proactive. The problem is we always proactive or reactive. We're just reactive people. I'm a proactive person. You don't have to tell me 3 times. When you tell me once, I'm already moving towards fixing that issue. And that's one of the issues. That's simply one of the issues. Ventures used to be out there in Evergreen Square and Bergner's.
Yeah.
It's too bad they left. But now we need to open it back up. Mm-hmm. We need to have our own city trend throughout our whole city. Whenever we see a big building, that now Ventures it simply could just be a bowling alley and a rolling skating rink. You know what I mean? That's what we should have done.
What do you think contributed to the precipitous decline of Peoria? Is it the fact that Artis has been mayor for the last 16 years? Is it the city managers to blame? Where do Where do you think this decline and the declining narrative we've had for quite some time, where do you think that comes from?
Gentrification. People aren't being involved. Our leadership is changing the dynamics of our city and drawing people away from certain parts of the city to build an influx of a population downtown. Meaning that's why we see so many apartments popping up downtown in the warehouse district. It looks great, so I can't point my finger all at the mayor or city leadership. It wouldn't just be him. It would be City Hall over the last 2 decades or 3 decades that allowed this city to go down. Some businesses didn't put out, education information saying, today it's a manufacturing issue, but tomorrow it's going to be an engineering issue that we're going to be looking for. And then after the engineering issue, it's going to be a technology area that comes around, where those that influence our businesses, that influence our people and give those jobs to our people should be the first ones to be informed that this change is coming. So you might want to start training yourself and getting a little bit more education. But since we don't have that type of leadership and mentality at the helm of City Hall, we're not bringing these questions up. And they're not going out here. And people just don't care. When you go out to Grand Prairie and you got everything you need in that area and you have transportation to get there and the funds to buy what you need, but you don't have that same access on another side of town, those are still business opportunities, Mark. That's what I'm trying to say. Those are opportunities for us. For us, they might have wealth to invest, and we may not have, but we have numbers. And if we come together in numbers, it's less of a stress on everybody to invest a little bit less because we have another investor. But you got to understand, we want to. Our main goal as a team will be wages, making sure our people are working again and making wages and taking pride in their job, making them essential jobs at that. After everything we could talk about on how to fix this city, on businesses, on the business economic side, it's something we can do. And we're, as a people, for one, I have to say it like this because I don't want to be excluding any race, but as a minority, we aren't contributing as much to the economy in this world as we should, because we don't take the type of steps and risk investments to build our own wealth. I hope that makes sense to you.
No, that makes perfect sense. And to a degree, it does make perfect sense. But you also have to keep in mind the lack of opportunity afforded to a lot of minorities as well.
Absolutely. And that's what that's why I'm getting to that representation, though. We have to have that representation and give that opportunity to our own people. But we also have to seize it collectively. If we build wealth, then we can invest more in bigger ideas. But when we need a grocery store on the South End, just one grocery store, and if the city doesn't bring it, and if Kroger's don't want to come back, if Save-A-Lot don't want to come back, and Aldi's don't want to come back, I'm going to call it Neiman Market, because you'll be the owner of it. Like I said, I want us to start balling. That's the terminology I have to use of this in this magnitude on social media. But we got the ball. We got the ball out of control, and we're not doing nowhere close to what we can do. If you go down south, if you go down to the southern states and see how things are, of course it looked good, but why we can't do it? Why we look to the south? Why we look outside our city's leadership and look for them as an example of how we should look and what we should bring, and we're not doing it. The city hasn't done it. The leaders of our city aren't doing it. The businesses of our city, the investors, they're not investing, but we're not helping either. We're not helping ourselves in any way, form, or fashion with some of the choices we do and make in our lifestyles as a community, as a Black community, as a whole.
One more question before we get to the lightning round. Since you ran for mayor last time, there's been a handful of Black candidates that have emerged to also run for public office, not only for mayor, but just city council as well, too. Do you feel in part responsible for that inspiration?
I'm only responsible for my actions. If it was a spark, that's what I want to be, is a spark in this community. If that helped somebody, if that encouraged more participation, I'm glad. But this is not about, I can't fathom thinking about myself. I can't fathom saying I did something. I hate the fact that I have to say I want to be mayor. I don't want to say I got the best idea. I don't want to say I'm going to do it. I want to always be inclusive. We're going to do it. I'm doing anything for you. I want to make sure you're at my best interest. You understand your best interest is at the forefront of my heart at all times, or else I wouldn't do what I do every day. I could have went back to ADM or Caterpillar or, Komatsu and got the money. I do what I do every single day because I know I'm making a big difference. And I'm proud of it. I'm so proud of it.
Okay, so I got to make an admission real quick. I lied. I got 2 more questions for you before we get to the lightning round. This question came earlier, actually, and I had it written down. The concern about the outsourcing of police, fire, to the people that work for police department, fire department. They run the streets, they work in the streets, but they live in Dunlap, they live in Washington, they live in Pekin. And so not only do you have people patrolling that really don't live in these streets that they're patrolling, but also those tax dollars for grocery stores and things like that, those are going back out to the surrounding areas. What would you want to do? What would you do to bring the people that get money in this community, serve the community, and they live in the communities that they serve, specifically for police as well?
Yeah, that's the problem why this city doesn't grow, because and that's my platform is property tax, the city that pays it forward. Property values need to come up, and education and information, meaning educating it on the justice side of things of our system. But it's the problem, what I kind of mentioned earlier, that's the part of being a well-rounded leader, is to understand I have to have some conservative views, some Republican views, some far left or right Democratic views, some independent and progressive views.
But how do those views
influence
people moving back to the area?
So the conservative view is, like I said earlier, we have to hire our own that live here, buy here, and pay taxes to Peoria. When we allow, and that's the same for any other city. Now in the county, that's different because the county has different city getting the taxes, and be clear for everybody else to be clear on that. But when we have people coming to work here, it takes away our tax money that we have to pay as citizens more taxes because there's less people living in our town paying taxes and working here, and that money is not being funneled in a cycle that comes funneling right back through our system. So we have to pay more when it comes to retirement plans for our public services. When if we was getting more taxes because they lived here, they actually will be footing some of that bill because they pay taxes here and they pay property taxes, and their value of their property is going to go up. And when everybody property value goes up, not only does our investment to our house, so to speak, our house, I can't think of the word right now, but the return on our houses and paying our houses and living our houses off, our values go up, our property taxes go down because we have more here. So that's what I'm leaning towards my conservative view when it comes to not the national trade issue of shutting China down and not getting oil from here. That's not healthy for this country. But on a state and city level, it would be more profitable for this state if every city took the view of hiring their own that live in their city and be very conservative about that. But when it comes to a regional effort, a regional project that brings our community up and our attention to our community, brings students attraction to saying, the city is going in this direction with this project, and I want to be a part of that. When we as a region say something like that, then we're working together like we should be, and our state gets stronger, our counties get stronger, our cities get stronger, our revenues go up, our values. I mean, it's a very simple thing, and I'm really putting out a lot of information, but I'm thankful for the questions. I'm thankful that I'm able to articulate it because, it may not be the soundest, but it's sound, and it's a very sound foundation that's feasible of what I'm bringing to the table. And that's why I'm running again. I'm so anxious for people to get together. I'm so anxious for this campaign to get over. The time is now for us to start doing it. Do I have to get to this mayor seat? That's where my heart is now. My heart is in politics, and it was shown to me 4 years ago. Now it's embedded in me. Now I'm here, and I'm going.
What's the worst case scenario that you envision if you're not elected? Is Peoria? Do you feel like Peoria is in dire trouble or in real trouble if you don't get elected?
It'd be hard for me to say, and because I'm not a liar, it's harder for me to say that I wouldn't look outside of Peoria, because I know there's people that's leaving Peoria because they simply don't have opportunity to grow to the expectations that they want. It depends also who is elected. You know, if you're talking about things that may bring anarchy because you don't have proper ideas on and protocol on policing or civil service, any other civil services, you're going to, that phrase "going to hell in a handbasket." Well, we could be falling now in moral consciousness of the choices we make as individuals or as a community. That's a big part. And if we make bad decisions just on that hand alone, then it don't matter what city you're in. If your focus is to leave here and say go somewhere else because it's a better nightlife, it's going to be hard to fix your daylife time if you haven't been able to do it at home first and go to another place mature. So we have to raise mature young people. We have to start there. We have to give opportunities to those that don't have the bigger opportunities than they have. We have to bring back ideas and projects to the city that's going to influence our young people to stay here once they graduate. And then once that's, it's one of those two birds with one stone. I'm always thinking two birds with one stone. But when that happens and we actually build a project and we become an attraction and we are focusing on those things, it's so many people on the South Side. We have different business mentalities. I have a different view for businesses when it comes to African-American young men and women and opportunities for that I'm standing for than I would for a Caucasian community. They have different needs too. But there are two different mentalities of what we want to be in our lifestyle, our careers, our focuses. And we have to highlight that. We have to have, I'm an actor. I love stage plays. I don't know if people know that, but I love stage plays. We can coordinate it to the point where we work with all the brilliant writers I've worked with alone. And we need that movie. We need that next Tyler Perry to come out, the new Jeff Bezos. We need that new Elon Musk. We need that new one that comes off the South Side because there's plenty of. We need that new Zion Williams or LeBron James. We have some great talent here, and AJ went far. Sean has gone far. God rest his soul to Howard Nathan. I love that family, and they know where I'm at. We have some great people, and there's some potential out there right now that represents Peoria in college. So we just have to hone in on our talents. We have to have somebody in leadership. And it's sad that a title makes a person. People think the title makes them. Like I said, when you set yourself up, you have two choices. You're either doing it for self-gain or a hidden agenda with no real intentions of helping people. There's people that did get elected. I haven't seen them. Ask them the same questions. Ask these other city leaders that are elected, where you been? Where are you at? I don't think you at all.
Who do you think has been absent?
Let's name everybody. Name anybody on the city council. Anybody on city council.
If you like anybody on city council has been absent?
I haven't. What I'm saying is, just as frequent as you're asking me to be in the last 4 years, I'm already working. You may not see me, but I am. I'm saying what I'm saying is I'm working. I'm fighting that battle every single day in the trenches. I'm not on camera, but if a leader has any of these ideas I'm spitting to you right now, where are they on the camera? You know what I'm saying? You're asking the same question now. But you can't say you saw. I'm not using last names, so you can't tell me you saw Beth on if it's not a city council meeting aired by the media. You can't say that you saw Sid, anywhere unless it's another trip issue, nothing proactive. You can't say I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna name off too many people, but
it's your show, baby.
newly elected people, you know, you had to ask the same thing. Ask the same. What? I'm not that person. I'm telling you right now, if you vote for me and I win, I'm not one of them people. Then you will see me. I will have no choice. I'm okay with that. But you will see me. Your kids will. I guarantee you that. You will see me.
So we're going to get to the lightning round. I'm going to give you 90 seconds. We're going to try to get through all of it real quick. In 90 seconds, is going to be either or questions, yes, no questions, or the first thing that comes to your brain. You ready?
Yep.
I got the clock running. Avani's or Jimmy John's?
Avani's.
Favorite rapper growing up?
Biggie Smalls.
Jordans or Yeezys?
Man, Jordans is too expensive for me. But Jordan, like, you know, I'm a Jordan man. I got my favorite Jordan shirt up there. Y'all just don't. I forgot to put
Jordans
it
or Yeezys?
Huh?
Jordans or Yeezys? You got to pick one.
Jordans.
Old Mall or New Mall?
I like the old mall, and I got plans to build our old mall back, Northwoods Mall.
Favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Favorite basketball player out of Peoria?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. I have to go with Howard.
Hennessy or Patron?
Henny.
Rumburgers, Juniors, or Harold's?
Man, I ain't going there, man. I'm not. I can't.
Hey, man, you better come on, man. Come on,
it, man. Rumma Harold's Juniors.
Math or science?
Math.
Favorite movie?
My newest one is Baffled for Life.
Bullpen or chorus?
Chorus.
Rap or R&B?
R&B. Gospel, actually.
Apple or Android?
And Apple. Android. I'm sorry.
Methodist or OSF?
Methodist.
New York or LA?
LA.
Ether or Takeover?
Say that again.
Ether or Takeover? Oh, man.
That was it? Oh, no.
Oh, no, I got to look, we got to get to these last couples, though.
Okay.
Do grits take sugar or salt?
Man.
Hey, don't lose some votes, man. Does grits take sugar or salt?
Salt.
Favorite holiday?
I don't have one.
Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent?
Bruce Wayne.
And last question, man. Do I really need a haircut or am I good?
You straight. You just need to cut this stuff off, man. If I didn't have so much white in mine, I'd probably be looking just like you, bro. Anyway you are, homie.
And last thing, man, why should people vote Couri Thomas for mayor?
Look, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. My choice to run is not all about me. I can care less about titles. It's just sad to say that titles are sometimes needed. But I'm thinking about you. I'm working for you. If you don't see me, you can find me easily. Vote for me. It's like voting for yourself. I guarantee you I have a plan that I can do. I know what I will focus on if I'm elected mayor. And you won't find any discrepancies. And what I'm saying is not trying to be the only thing I'm going to focus on that's kind of biased is that I do want to focus on young men. Young men, minority males are my main priority. And you could like it, lump it, or leave it. I do want to, that doesn't exclude any other person, but I am determined to make sure our young men are going to be acknowledged, trained, mentored, ministered to, given focus and purpose, given the opportunity to change the way they view their lives. And that's probably the highest passion I have right now of why I'm running for mayor. But, you know, I need your vote and I want to get in there. I have a strong passion for it. I have a strong love for the city and I want to see it grow. We're going to make it happen. Just vote Couri Thomas. Get me in there and you'll see me every day if you think that's a problem.
Sure thing. We appreciate you, Couri. Appreciate everybody watching. Tuned into the first episode of the Mayoral mini-series, A Candid Conversation with the Candidates. And of course, This discussion is powered by State Farm agent Aaron Kilgore, located at 3805 North Sterling Avenue in Sterling Plaza. State Farm has new lower rates for auto, renters, and home insurance, and he's also passionate about life insurance. You can call him for a quick quote at 309-685-7111. Couri, we appreciate you.
Thanks, Marcus, man. Much love. Thanks, everybody.